We are at a point in which we don't really know how hearing works in general. Of course, there is knowledge, there is previous literature. It's not that there's no work behind us, but it's surprisingly little. Right. The brain is a predictive machine. So what the brain is doing all the time is not just to collect information through your senses from the environment, because that sensory signal that we collect with our senses is actually very noisy, very unreliable. But instead of just using that incoming signal, what the brain is doing is that it constructs a model of the world, and it uses this model, which is just previous knowledge, to try to guess what could be that is happening outside there in the world. So your experience, your perception would be a combination of these two things. Yes, the signals that you can collect with your senses, but also the predictions that you can make about what these signals might be. The first basic question that we can ask is, which of these two things are easier to perceive? Something that is expected because you had a cue that tells you it's going to happen, or something that is unexpected, because in nature it might be more important to realize of something unexpected that happens in your environment instead of something that you could just guess from previous knowledge that you have. The technique that we are using is magnetoencephalography. One thing nice of this method is that it allows to record brain activity in a non-invasive way. So from the outside, we don't need to make a hole in the skull and insert electrodes of anything of the like. The idea is that when you hear something that repeats many times, like a simple tone, like a beep that repeats always the same, when suddenly it changes, that is something unexpected, because you would always expect that there would be yet another repetition. And our brain reacts to this unexpected event, producing a signal that we can record with this MEG machine that I mentioned before. We are not only interested in what happens when people hear something, we are also interested in what happens when people don't hear something. Hopefully we will see some cases in which people misperceive a sound, and that indeed is more informative about what happens in an hallucination. That's always a tricky question for people working in basic science, because we hope that our research will have some sort of impact in society. And hallucinations are something that happens not only in psychiatric cases like schizophrenia, but also for example, tinnitus. That is this condition in hearing where you just hear a constant tone all the time. That's something that is way, way more common. And it is a type of auditory hallucination. In general, to understand better how the brain hears is, let's say, a necessary condition to then eventually be able to fix it when something is not working well.